What's going on, baseball fan? Most of us are pretty aware of what happens throughout the season at the major league level, but there's one part of Major League Baseball that often gets left unnoticed throughout the year, and that's the minor leagues. Now, I'm equally as guilty of this, but the minor leagues really is where Major League Baseball is built. Every superstar that we see had to come up through the minor leagues and turn themselves from an amateur baseball player into the professional that they are now. So today, we're gonna take a look at 10-ish minor leaguers that you should know about based on how good of a season that they had in the minor leagues this year, so that you can be just a little bit smarter baseball fan than the rest of your friends and show off a bit. Before we get to these guys, make sure you drop a like on the video, subscribe to the page, do all that nonsense so that you can support the channel and help out with you becoming an even smarter baseball fan. Alright, first we're gonna actually take a look at a trio of guys who made their debuts this season. Esteury Ruiz, outfielder for the Milwaukee Brewers, Miguel Vargas, corner infielder, left fielder for the Dodgers, and first baseman Tristan Casas for the Boston Red Sox. Now, all of these guys showed incredible plate approaches at the AAA level this season, boasting double-digit walk rates, walk to strikeout rates of at least 0.7 or higher, and all were below average in strikeouts. Miguel Vargas even going down to 14.6% strikeouts. Ruiz and Vargas both hit above 300, 400, 500, 900 in terms of average on-base slugging and OPS, and it's not like Casas was much farther behind that. He hit 281, 389, 500 for a 889 OPS. These were all good for a 156, 129, and 134 WRC plus respectively for Ruiz, Vargas, and Casas. I mean, the power was there, the approach was there. It's no wonder that all of these guys debuted. I mean, they tore up AAA. But on the flip side, a prospect is always still a prospect, and no matter how good a guy does in the minor leagues, they can still struggle when they get up to the major leagues. Ruiz had the lowest walk rate of the three of them, but more importantly, his .392 batting average on balls in play is insanely high, and that's definitely got to be due for some regression back towards the mean. Vargas, his batted ball profile, he had the lowest line drive percentage out of the three of them and the highest ground ball and fly balls, so he's not squaring the ball up quite as much as these other guys. The ground ball percentage is going to result in less power, less slugging, all of that stuff, but the high fly ball rate kind of evens that out, but then is going to drop his average equally as well, so hopefully he can square the ball up just a little bit more. And then when you look at Casas, the highest strikeout rate, fairly close to the major league average, and you would think that this guy then would be a more power-based hitter. I mean, his ISO is the highest of the three, but he had the lowest fly ball percentage, so he's gonna lose out on some of that power potential there. Maybe the fact that he's still the highest in home runs per fly ball evens that out, but like I said with all of these guys, they're prospects until they're not, so we're just gonna have to see. Alright, let's get to our first actual prospect. Wenceel Perez, second baseman shortstop for the Detroit Tigers. Currently their number 14 prospect in their organization. 22 years old, was at high A and double A this season. And this is gonna be a big trend. You're gonna see this if you've seen a couple of my videos. You know this is important to me. The plate approach was on point. 10.3% walks, 15% strikeout for a .69 walk to strikeout rate. This approach led him to a 295, 369, 534 slash line for a 902 OPS and a 143 WRC plus. But when you look in terms of his batted ball profile again, he was by far the highest fly ball rate out of any of the guys on this list. 40.9%. The MLB average is 25.7. So if he's just an extreme fly ball hitter, as he progresses higher and higher, his batting average is gonna go down because fly balls just aren't conducive to a whole lot of batting average. So we're gonna have to see how that plays out. It's gonna be another big thing for this. Like I said, prospects are prospects until they're not. Next, we're going to take a look at Edinson Paulino, currently the number 13 ranked prospect in the Boston Red Sox organization. Second base, third base, shortstop, 19-year-old who was at A-ball this year. 11.9% walk rate, 19.5% strikeout rate for a .61 walk to strikeout rate. Almost double the major league average of .36. So once again, the approach is on point. He only put up a .266 batting average, so maybe the contact skill quite isn't there, but he had a .359 on base, .469 slugging for a .827 OPS, all good for a .128 WRC plus, and his line drive percentage was the highest out of any of the guys that wasn't the three that debuted this year. 25.6%, about 2% higher than major league average. So that's gonna help bolster the batting average because line drives are pretty conducive to a higher batting average. Next up is third ranked prospect in the Texas Rangers organization, Evan Carter, who I feel like should be in a 90s, 2000s boy band with that name. But he instead is a 19-year-old outfielder who is at high A and double A this season, putting up a 13.5% walk rate to go along with a 17.1% strikeout rate, good for a .79 walks per strikeout. Once again, really good approach at the plate. He slashed .295, .397, .489 for a .885 OPS and a .140 WRC plus. The only thing that I would really say I'm worried about with him, because overall I think he had probably the most well-rounded season out of all of these guys, is once again his line drive percentage is only about 0.5% higher than major league average. For just touching double A, you're gonna see all these numbers come down as he faces better and better competition. So is he gonna struggle with really squaring the ball up and barrel percentage and all of that, where you're gonna get the vast majority of like your hits, your good solid contact? This last guy, who I'm definitely about to butcher his name, so I apologize, Jasu De Paula, unranked prospect right now in the Dodgers system. He's only a 17-year-old outfielder that was in the Dominican Summer League, but this dude had he balled out, all right? 14.3% walk rate, higher than his 13.9% strikeout rate for a 1.03 walk to strikeout. This dude is like a dream come true for somebody like me who loves plate approach. And for the more old schooly guys, he still slashed .349, .448, .522 for a .970 OPS and a .162 WRC plus. The only concern with him though that I'm gonna point out, he had a 42% ground ball rate. That's only 0.7% lower than the major league average. For him being at such a low level of the minor leagues, as he faces better competition, if this is gonna be the kind of hitter that he's gonna be, he could still be a fairly higher average, but he's gonna rely pretty heavily on batted balls in play, which he hit .395 this year. And he's not gonna show as many power numbers because balls on the ground aren't gonna travel quite as far. Now we get to our pitchers, and first up, we're gonna get another guy that debuted this year, Brian Bayo, starting pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, who in his time in the minor leagues in 2022 hit AA and AAA. Through 96 innings, Brian put up a 33.8% strikeout rate, a 9.4% walk rate, good for 3.58 strikeouts to walk. The walks are a little bit high, and that can be a little concerning maybe as he comes up. Maybe there's not quite as much control there, but he's still got a really good ratio for the two, and his strikeout percentage is insanely high. He put up a 2.34 ERA this year, backed up by a 2.72 FIP and a 2.56 expected FIP. So while that's right in line, showing that it's not a mirage, this dude was really good. A 62% ground ball rate is insane, which is gonna be really good for him because when he did give up fly balls, they went pretty far. His 15.4 home runs per fly ball was almost double the major league average. That's probably due for some regression, but I think it's gonna go to show that he could get tagged a little bit when he's really pitching at the major league level. Next up is Tyler Santana. Now, despite the fact this dude's already 24 years old and he was only at A-ball, I think he should climb up pretty quickly through the minor leagues here, because as a relief pitcher this year, he had 98.2 innings pitched, a 23.4% strikeout rate is a little bit above major league average, so maybe he's not going to be the biggest strikeout guy, but hopefully that improves a little bit, and his 7.8% walk rate keeps improving, and this dude's going to be pretty good, already putting up 3 strikeouts to walk. Now, he had a 2.28 ERA, but his 3.42 FIP and his 3.63 expected FIP were a little bit higher. I'm gonna bet that that's because his strikeout rate wasn't insanely high. The walk rate's below average, and his home runs per fly ball at 6 is well below major league average, along with a 62.4% ground ball rate. So I don't think those are gonna be major issues for him. I think as he maybe develops his stuff a little bit, gets a little bit better with the strikeouts, you're going to see more of those advanced numbers go down. He's going to rely a little bit less on the fielding than he is already right now, and his numbers are only going to even out and get a little bit better potentially. Or, they don't, and he stays a minor leaguer, and once again, this is why it's all just projecting prospects. Never know what can happen, especially when you're talking about relief pitchers like Santana and our next guy, Matt Svanson, who is in the Toronto Blue Jays organization. The 23-year-old was at A-ball and high A this season. Through 82 1/3 innings, he put up a 23.9% strikeout rate and a 6.6% walk rate. So once again, even though the strikeout numbers aren't insanely high, that walk rate is really, really good and should only get better as he gets more command of his stuff. Maybe you get a couple more strikeouts along with that. Both of these should help his 4.15 ERA, 4.14 FIP, and a 3.5 expected FIP. But I think where that's really going to help him, he had a pretty high 24.2% fly ball rate to go along with a 17.9 home runs per fly ball percentage. Over double the major league average. So I think, if anything, maybe where some command issues were hurting him was that he was living more in the middle of the plate. Instead of giving up some walks, he's like, screw it, I'm just going to throw strikes. They're going to be over the plate. Doesn't really matter. If he can learn to start painting the corners a little bit, throw good strikes, not just strikes in general, we're going to see that home run number especially come down, and that's going to help just the rest of this all even out. I think that's going to be the big thing that's really going to impact his game positively. Or he doesn't make that adjustment, and as he goes up, hitters are going to be better. They're just going to tag him even more than he's already getting hit. The shit's taking too long. All right, next up on our list, number 8, we've only got 3 more to go. Carson Seymour, starting pitcher for the San Francisco Giants, who was at A-ball and high A this season. The 23-year-old had 111 innings pitched with a 29.3% strikeout rate and a 6.7% walk rate, both of which are really, really good. Now, this wasn't totally backed up by his ERA at 3.08. That's still really good. A 3.32 FIP and a 3.10 expected FIP. But with somebody who's limiting walks and free passes as much as he was, and getting strikeouts as much as he was, you make the hitter have to rely more on what they do when they put the ball in play. And it seems like that kind of bit him a little bit this year. He had a 23.4% fly ball rate, which is fairly close to major league average, and a 14.1 home runs to fly ball. Once again, that should theoretically even out just a little bit, but if this maintains, that means that despite being really good at getting strikeouts and not giving up a lot of walks, when guys do hit him, they hit him pretty good. So as you get to higher levels of competition, these guys are only going to hit you harder and harder. So what's he going to do to adjust to that? Next up, Luis de Avila, starting pitcher for the Atlanta Braves at high A this season. The 21-year-old went 126 and a thirds innings, 24.2% strikeout rate, and an 8.4% walk rate. Both of those right about in line with major league average. A little bit better strikeout, a little bit worse walk. Still, all pretty good. He had a 3.49 ERA, a 3.96 FIP, and a 3.7 expected FIP. All of this just kind of points to, like, I think all around this dude's just a solid pitcher. Nothing that he really does exceptionally well, but he does everything that he's supposed to. Batted ball profile was all there. He's a really high ground ball percentage guy, which is good because he still gave up 14.9 home runs per fly ball. So that could bite him a little bit. But I think this is just a dude that if he just keeps evolving his game, he can go from like solid at everything to pretty good at everything. And then you've just got a all around really well-rounded pitcher. But he's got to take those steps forward. You can't just be like wildly average, you know? Next up, we have Trevor McDonald. Last but not least is the number 21 prospect in the Giants organization. The relief pitcher threw 101.1 innings at A-ball in high A this season, had a 27.9% strikeout rate, but a 9.8% walk rate. So the 21-year-old still needs to work on some command, apparently. I think that's going to be the big thing for him, probably. The strikeouts were there. The strikeout to walk percentage is still above major league average, and his 2.31 ERA is really good. But his 3.69 FIP and 4.01 expected FIP show that there's still work to be done behind the scenes. He kept the ball in the ballpark, a 6.6 home run to fly ball rate. But like I talked about with the other guys, if this starts to regress more towards the mean, his 24.4% fly ball rate, which is pretty close to major league average, could come back to bite him a little bit more. So yes, he can get strikeouts. He's probably got really good stuff then, but he needs to work on the command, and that's only going to help him keep the ball in the ballpark as well as he's been doing. So can he become more of a refined pitcher and not just like a flamethrower, you know, wild kind of stuff guy on the mound? There are so many players in minor league baseball that, despite how long this video is, I know I missed a bunch of them. But these were just my picks for guys who had really good seasons and showed really promising stuff that they could continue to be successful as they move up. But now it's your turn. Let me know. Who are some guys maybe on your team or that you got to see this season or heard about that you think can be really good major league players or continue their success that they showed this season? Drop a comment down below. Let me know. Show me that you're smarter than I am. If you enjoyed, drop a like on the video to show your support. You can also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any content like this that we're gonna have coming out. And make sure you hit the bell icon so that you stay up to date when all of our content drops every single Monday. Once again, I hope you enjoyed. Have an awesome day. Thanks for watching. Oh my God, I feel like I start losing it the longer and longer that these videos take. So cheers to you guys. Hell yeah.